Welcome to the More Than Fitness podcast.
Okay, let's get into another Minisode number 11. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Minisode number 11 on the More Than Fitness podcast, and I am so thankful that you are here. Starting off strong. I am so thankful that you are here because today's topic, it's a really good one, right? So how to stay full while dieting. This is something that probably the number one reason why people can't get into the shape that they want, or they can't stay consistent with their diets for long periods of time. Hunger is the big culprit in that, right? Deprivation is hard. Being hungry is hard. We want more food, right? But there are ways to be smart about this so that you can stay full while in a calorie deficit, because that's what's going to be required for fat loss. You need to burn more calories than you are consuming via eating fewer calories or doing more cardio. But there are ways that we can increase our fullness while dieting. And so to start, you guys have probably heard some of these, but then I also wanted to throw in some of these that you probably haven't heard of before. And so they might be new, and hopefully you can start incorporating them right away if you have been struggling with your fat loss. Okay, let's get into it. Number one is to keep your protein high. I'm sure a lot of you guys know this. People preach this over and over and over again, how important protein intake is. But whenever it comes to staying full while in a calorie deficit, protein is going to be the number one macronutrient that you need to focus on, because out of all the other macronutrients, so protein, carbs, and fats, those are all the macronutrients, right? Protein is going to be the most satiating macronutrient. A lot of people think that it's fat. However, other studies have shown that it is actually protein. So keeping your protein high, having a decent amount of protein at every single meal is going to be crucial to making sure that you stay full throughout the entire day. What I would recommend is to have a total calorie goal, or have a total protein goal for the day, but then also make sure that at every single meal or snack, I'd say for snacks, I'd say your minimum should be about 15 to 20 grams per snack. And then for meals, I would go anywhere from 25 to 50 grams of protein per meal to make sure that you're staying satiated throughout the day. And of course, this is also going to aid muscle gain, and it's also going to keep you full while in a deficit as well. So there's many roles that higher protein takes whenever you're in a fat loss phase. The second one is going to be high fiber intake, right? This is another one that a lot of people know. There is a good reason why fruits and vegetables are pushed so hard for fat loss diets. And that's because, one, they're mostly water, right? Literally think about the vegetables and fruits that you eat. They're mostly water. But then also they're a lot of it is fiber, right? And then the third component of that is that they are also very low calorie. So you can eat a lot of them, and then it's going to be low calories, but you can eat a lot of food volume. That's a big thing that people need to consider whenever they are in a fat loss phase. They need to have very nutrient dense food options as opposed to very energy dense food options. Energy dense would be, think about having a donut next to a plate of broccoli. If you're going to have 350 calories from that donut, and then you're going to have 350 calories from broccoli, there's going to be a lot more broccoli on that plate to equal 350 calories as opposed to the one singular donut. So of course, the one with a higher food volume is going to keep you fuller for longer periods of time. So having a high fiber intake is going to be absolutely crucial. It just takes up more volume in your stomach because there's more food volume in general per bite. Having a high fiber intake, I think a good rule of thumb for most of you listening would be about 10 grams per 1,000 calories that you eat. That's actually going to be on the lower end. But if you're having 2,000 calories a day, 20 grams of fiber is going to be a good minimum that you should aim for. I would even go a little bit higher than that, maybe 12 to 14 grams per 1,000 calories that you eat. That's only going to help you out. And There is going to be an upper limit to the amount of fiber that you can take in, but you're probably going to realize that whenever you're just bloated and gassy and not feeling very comfortable throughout the day. That's whenever you should probably be like, all right, I'm gonna pull the reins back on the fiber a little bit. So yeah, that's the second way. Another way is to make foods less tasty. The thing whenever we're dieting is we always want to make foods taste really good because you're already deprived, right? You want to make the little food that you can eat as tasty as possible. However, you can run into issues because you usually eat that food a lot more quickly. And then also, you don't feel as satiated after you eat the food, right? It tastes really good in the short term whenever you're eating it, but after that meal is over, your satisfaction is going to be a little bit lower. A good prime example of this is think about fried chicken, right? Think about how good fried chicken tastes and how quickly you can eat fried chicken compared to a plain dry chicken breast with no seasoning, no salt, nothing, right? I'm not encouraging you to just eat plain chicken breast. However, if you want to be more satiated and not worry about hunger as much, you should probably consider making your foods actually a little bit less tasty. A good, more practical example of this would take oatmeal, for example. Whenever you're bulking, you want to make foods as tasty as possible. That way you can eat more. It's easier to eat more because the food tastes better, right? Whenever you're dieting, you just want to do the reverse. But if you're bulking, you want to make the oats more tasty. So you have oatmeal, you have 2% milk, you could add some peanut butter, you could have some bananas in there, you could have some granola. All of those are going to make it more tasty and also more energy dense, more calorically dense. However, whenever you're dieting, you want to make the food less tasty. Obviously, of course, you still want to not hate yourself while you're eating it. But for the oatmeal example, you could just have oatmeal, water, cinnamon, and berries, right? It still could taste okay. And you can even throw in Splenda or something like that, like a 0-calorie sweetener. And there you go. It's going to be edible, right? You're going to be able to eat it and still not hate yourself, but it's also going to be a lot fewer calories per bite compared to if you use 2% milk, if you add a nut butter, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, consider making your foods actually less tasty. And then the next one would be to keep the tasty foods out of sight. So if you do, of course, I don't want you to restrict yourself too much on foods you enjoy. However, for some people, this can be problematic if you have cookies laying out around your kitchen counter, right? If you have cereal boxes that are you can see the bright colors and everything, the marketing of the box in plain view as soon as you open up your pantry door, right? It's right there in your face. This is where you want to keep those tasty foods out of sight, because out of sight, out of mind. It doesn't trigger you to instantly want to eat those foods. This is also goes for whenever you wrap unhealthy food. So if you have brownies or something like that, don't wrap it in plastic wrap, put aluminum foil over top of it. Again, that's just another thing that whenever you open up the fridge or you open up the pantry or whatever, it's laying around on the counter, you're not going to have eyes view of it and you're not going to be triggered to instantly want to eat it. So yeah, keep tasty foods out of sight to keep them out of mind. The next one would be to take care of your stress. This could be another thing because a lot of people stress eat, right? Whenever they get stressed out, they eat these tasty foods, and then that dopamine rush that they get, that's how they relieve some of their stress. And I understand, I've been there, still do it all the time. However, whenever you're dieting, you want to reduce this amount of self-sabotage, right? So planning your day, prioritizing your day, of course, that could be an entire other podcast topic itself, but managing your stress, taking care of your stress, getting good sleep, that's going to be a huge one as well. Because studies have shown that the less sleep that you get, the more jacked up your hunger hormones are going to be the next day, couple days, whatever. It depends on the amount of sleep deprivation. But yeah, you could really shoot yourself in the foot by not getting a lot of good sleep. And then your cravings are more out of whack than normal. So yeah, take care of that stress and get some sleep. Next would be to avoid liquid calories. If you only have 1,700 calories to eat, why would you drink some of those calories through orange juice or something? Orange juice is going to be whatever, let's say 150 to 200 calories per glass. And think about how quickly you can drink an 8-ounce glass of orange juice, right? That's 150 calories right down your gullet super fast. So in order to maximize the amount of food that you can eat and also to help out your hunger throughout the day, you want to make sure that you save the calories for actual whole food options as opposed to liquid calories. So this could be juices, this could be milk, this could be soda if you're drinking soda, Gatorade, anything like that. I would try to keep it to a bare minimum, and instead of drinking your calories, I would try to eat them. That would be a much better tip. Next up is going to be caffeine and coffee. I think this probably won't be an issue for too many of you. I'm sure a lot of you do this already. But yeah, caffeine is actually an appetite suppressant to an extent, and coffee is going to probably even, so if you just take a caffeine pill compared to drinking coffee, and I'm considering just black coffee here, not coffee with like a pound of butter in it or something like that. But yeah, so caffeine and coffee can be another way to suppress your appetite naturally and help you perhaps fast a little bit longer, keep that hunger at bay after lunch or before lunch. And yeah, it's just another little tactic to use. Next up would be to go low fat with a lot of your meals. Listen, fat is important. It absolutely is. But after you reach your minimum threshold of the amount of fat that you need per day and all your daily functions are taken care of, there is no real need to get much higher than that. So if you go low fat, if you go low fat options, you're saving yourself a lot of calories because protein and carbs, they have 4 calories per gram, whereas fat is going to have 9 calories per gram. So 1 gram of fat equals over double the amount of calories per gram in proteins or carbs. So going lower fat by default is going to typically give you more food volume to eat in general. Okay, and the last one is going to be to slow down and eat more mindfully. I know this is, again, this could be a huge subject in and of itself. However, people rush through their meals way too quickly. And I think the best thing that you could do is to place your utensil down in between bites. I think that could really help. Again, this goes back to making the foods less tasty or more tasty. If it's really tasty, you're going to eat it super quickly, and you may have to be more adamant about being mindful about each bite and making sure that you're not just rushing through the entire thing. Another weird little trick that you could do is to tap each bite 3 times with your utensil. Don't tap it too high, or else people are going to look at you like you're a psycho. But yeah, I think just slowing down in general, taking a breath in between bites, taking a sip of water, talking to the people, actually enjoying the experience that you're having, tasting each bite as fully as possible. Yeah, all of these things are ways that you can force yourself to slow down and actually eat more mindfully, and then also reduce the amount of hunger and increase your satiation after that meal is over. If you're eating slower, studies have shown that you will, after the meal is over, you feel higher on the satiety index than you do compared to somebody who is going to rush through that meal. All right, and that was rapid fire. We knocked those out fairly quickly. 13 minutes. Yeah, we're good. But yeah, all of those things are very helpful tips that you could start implementing right away to make your fat loss a little bit easier. And that is Minisode number 11 on the More Than Fitness podcast. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Okay, see you.